تمام. هسه شلون ارجع اشياء؟
هلا انا بطلبه منك. اوكي.
صار عندك.
تمام.
كمل درس.
So welcome back to the interpretation sessions and welcome for the new participants. Today our session will be somehow discussing about visual, we'll be training on some visual text interpretation, consecutive interpretation. We'll go over note-taking and some idioms. So the date was previously for our previous sessions. Nevertheless, since nobody have participated, we have delayed the session. So I beg you please to make attention to close any cameras or microphones unless you have to speak. I beg you to participate. So you may open the microphone and we can discuss any point you'd like to clarify within our session. So today we're going about some interpretation skills and how to develop them. We'll take some note taking, especially for consecutive interpretation, since in simultaneous interpretation, this may be a cause of distraction and you can lose we can make a huge branch whenever we are making our translation or interpretation. So what's the purpose behind note-taking? Some key principles, some symbols and abbreviations that are adapted that we may know, and you can as well make your own abbreviations or symbols that can adjust to you. So you can make your own dictionary of symbols and abbreviations. Special techniques on note-taking, some tips and challenges, certain resources that you may use for your interpretation note-taking sessions, some idioms and the difficulties we may have to express make the interpretation of idioms, and some texts where you can practice visual interpretation. If anybody has any question previous to the session, please let me know. Okay, so I will continue. Please, if anybody has any question to interrupt, just raise your hand previous to opening the mic. So, the difference we have talked previously and longly about the difference between translation and interpretation. Whenever we have translation, we have enough time to search, to adjust our timing, to look for, to edit, and reread our translation. Nevertheless, this can't be affordable whenever we have an interpretation session, whether it is a consecutive or simultaneous interpretation, especially on simultaneous interpretation. So there is some skills and other aspects that we must consider whenever we want to be interpreters. Especially, we have to be so concentrated. So this require from us to be prepared previously for our session. As we previously said, we have to look for information. If not provided, we have to read and study the given information if it is given to us, or at least investigate the subject of our interpretation session so we can somehow study or find some information that will help us during our session. Beside the linguistic issues, we must as well have to develop our abilities. And especially through active listening, we have to train our ears on hearing. We have to stimulate our hearing skills because it's most important, because the role of an interpreter is mostly to listen, concentrate, and speak at the same time. So if we can't hear the voice correctly, if we can't understand what we are hearing, so we can incur in some mistakes during our interpretation. Sometimes there is some issues where the person, the speaker, has not, we may face technological problems, especially when it's RSI, remote simultaneous interpretation. Sometimes the idiomatic or the spoken language is not that clear, or sometimes the speaker may speak so quickly so we can't understood. What should we do in this case? We should be we must pay so much attention to what's spoken. And here, the most important is to deliver the main idea, the main wording that the speaker would like to deliver to his public. So, beside having proficiency in source and target languages, we have to improve our active listening. It's preferable to have cultural competences because this is an important issue, especially when delivering the message, to understand well certain expression where we may face, like what we are going to discuss today, if it's possible, about idioms. In consecutive interpretation, we sometimes need, and it's important, especially if the speaker will talk for a large period of time, we must take some notes in order to not depend on our memory, because our memory may betray us. So how can I interpret what was spoken if I forgot something? So this is the moment where we have to be accurate on note-taking skills and how to develop them. We don't have to be afraid of speaking publicly, because sometimes we are facing many people who may be watching us while we are interpreting. So we don't have to get in panic, and we have to have a strong personality and talking skills. Memory retention, emotional resilience, technical skills, ethical standards, and specialized knowledge. These are some of the interpretation skills. And the more skills you have as a person, as a professional, it's always give a plus to a person. And how can we develop these skills? Through consistent practice, continuous learning, because as I previously said, each interpretation session is a new challenge. So it's a continuous learning and a continuous real-world experience, joining professional organization, attending workshops, and seeking mentorship from experienced interpreters can also enhance your skills and your career at interpretation. So, how can we develop our skills? Let us see this video on note-taking for interpreters. Please advise me if you can speak, if you can hear the video or not. Well, it's a small example of note-taking. You can get more videos from the same user. YouTube. Interpret Train is a site where you can get more videos and to train yourself on interpretation. So you can achieve a great number of videos that will help you during your training.
I called her to see if she wanted to have a drink. First, she did not answer the phone. Then, after 20 minutes, she called me back and said she would leave her house in half an hour. She never did come.
Who can come up here and help me render this? Yes, Tatiana.
These are your notes, so this is hard. I called her to see if she wanted to have a drink. First, she didn't answer the phone. Then, 20 minutes later, she called me back and said that she'd be leaving the house in half an hour. She never did do come, I guess.
She never did come. You could do come like this. But remember, if that's all you need to, that's all she needed to prompt her memory. Round of applause.
Okay. What do you think about this video? Any comments, please?
I think the interpreter presenting or the instructor is Latin or Spain. Doing from Spanish to English, right?
Yeah, it's mostly you don't have much videos from English into Arabic. So yes.
And another comment I have, does or do these symbols are like systemized worldwide for interpreters, or everyone can create his own?
Well, some of them are mostly used by interpreters. It depends as well for the source and target language. But as I said previously, you can develop your own. So it's not as a matter that these are the symbols I must use, because sometimes you may use the same symbol to refer to many other things. So the idea here of note-taking is just to adapt a technique which will help you to develop or to memorize the events or something like that. There is a lot of material that can help you, but you can develop your own, such as, for example, when you say okay, we all know that okay, it's O and Q and key. Okay, it's okay. As we can see here first, here it's infinity. It may refers to infinity or never, no, like putting that. This symbol may refer to afterwards. Then you can say this is to say, the quoting mark of saying. There is a huge number of techniques that you can use. You can develop your own and not referring to any of these symbols that are used as well. For example, many of the NGOs or organization, big companies may develop their own abbreviations. So whenever you work with them, you get to know what they do refer with this and that. Just a brief example, whenever you look or search for a certain abbreviation, if you go to the Google search and check for these abbreviations, you mostly will find a number of symbols or different abbreviation referring to different aspects. So you may find the abbreviation you need, but sometimes you need to consult with the company or with somebody about certain abbreviation used.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, for example, 2 days ago, I have had an interpretation session, and they were discussing about some new aspect with abbreviation called PDM. So it's the first time working with the same organization for more than 4 years. So we didn't know what they referred to, and it was about some kind of reporting, which name was post distribution monitoring. So whenever you can't get the abbreviation, you must say it as it is, and whenever it's possible, you should ask for it or for the meaning so you can accurately make the interpretation of these abbreviations. So you can develop your own or use a special technique. By the way, in Amazon, there is a certain book who can give you the abbreviation mostly used, or I will show you the book. I'm not sure if I have it here, but I will make the reference so you can check for it if you'd like to make it. But you can adapt your own, because the most important thing here is that you will understand your note taking. Because if you can't understand your interpretation, your note taking, so this where the problem will appear. So
Pause, 2 points for Tatiana.
I called her to see if she wanted to have it first. She didn't after 20.
so let's get back to our
I
presentation.
have another comment, Ms. Rania.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
So exactly, you say to consult your own company or firm or NGO or office about the symbols they do use. I was at an English translation consecutive course at Al Jazeera Space Channel Training Institute of Doha, Qatar.
Okay.
And the one gave us the training was the workshop, the training actually.
The
It was
training.
the Al Jazeera senior, like famous translator who does translate from French, English, and Arabic. So I remember, I recall, he gave us exactly the same symbols you are presenting now. So this is interesting. Like most of them are like commonly used, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, I do recall. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So, what's the purpose of note-taking and interpretation? It's mostly, as I said, for consecutive interpretation. Because as I said, when you are making simultaneous interpretation, the only thing that you can do is take certain notes just to remember, or for some wordings that you are not recalling and you need the assistance of your colleague. This is the only case, because if you are going to make note-taking during a simultaneous interpretation, this will be a great distraction. So for simultaneous interpretation, we don't need the note-taking. It's needed when we do have consecutive interpretation, because sometimes there is a large or a huge period of time between the interpreter and the speaker. So between the speaker and the interpreter to make his interpretation. For example, if you are in a certain interview and somebody asks the person to make some details or to tell his story or something like that, so he will express largely or take enough time to speak as if you are going to make the interpretation in the same time. So you can take all the notes. If you don't take all the notes and depend on your memory, you may lose some important issues. So that's why you can take your notes in certain order that will permit you to recall all what was said. So note-taking, especially in consecutive interpretation, helps to accurately and efficiently capture the main ideas, key points, and specific details of the source speech. This will ensure a clear and faithful rendition into the target language, supporting memory and reducing cognitive load during interpretation. So this will help us to recall the issues and to transmit accurately the events or the issues that were discussed. So first, the principal keys of note-taking are reduced to brevity. We must be concise and efficient. Notes should be short and concise to the point, capturing only essential information. So we don't have to write down every word. We have to be concise and directly to the point. It's just like a memory that we are making for us to recall what was said or to relate the issues that will help us to support our memory to deliver back the interpretation. So, clarity. We must be clear of the ideas. We must ensure that these notes are readable at a glance. I won't be writing down and make a mix-up of all the ideas that when I want to get back and render this speech, I will mix up all the information given or couldn't read it by myself. So it's important to have clear view of the notes and to order them in a way that will help my memory to recall the events. And this will be adjusted to the third point on how to structure it and organize the layout or sequence of the speech. Okay? Any questions before moving to the next slide?
Yes, a question, please.
Yes.
Do you think it's difficult, like if a sensitive interview or conference translation or a meeting maybe, and you said to read it at a glance?
Well, it's mostly you must depend on your memory. And the note-taking will help. It's like a backup support for your memory. So it's mostly important just for like making memory of what's said, just to avoid that you will miss any idea. So mostly
Rana,
you're depending on your memory.
I am just wondering how, like, what is the length of a paragraph could a consecutive or simultaneous translator could have?
Well, it depends. Really, it depends on the issue. It depends on the speakers, both speakers. Sometimes it's if you can get to adjust these and explain to the persons previously to
Like 30
try
minutes, 30 seconds, 1 minute less or more maybe.
No, sometimes it's more. Sometimes it may last for about 15 to 20 minutes. So that's when you need
Wow. So
note-taking.
this is a big burden. This will be waste of no, not waste. This will be lose of memory. Do you think so?
Yes, that's why you are making
That's why note
note-taking.
taking is yeah.
That's why the note-taking is most important. For example, when you have a bilateral meeting, it's mostly within government. So when they are discussing, they mostly speak the total idea they want to transmit. So sometimes it may take 10, 15, or 20 minutes. And this is why it's important to take your note-taking in order to recall or make get back to your memory, to help to support your memory on what's said. Because more than 10 minutes, you can't recall every word. So this is when you need to recall and to take your note taking.
Yes, and the
And it's
translator
not
will.
writing down everything, and it's not it's not professional to write down everything, because if you're going to read every word, then you are making, first of all, you're demonstrating that you are not professional, and second, the situation will be somehow uncomfortable, because they are feeling that they are going to give you enough time to transmit, and most of the information is lost beyond.
Yeah,
And you
thank you.
can't tell anybody, please stop, I need time for interpretation. That doesn't work in an interpretation session. So they will give you enough time, unless you miss something and you recall, you write it down, you may ask some clarification, or you may ask the person who contracted you to permit you reformulate something for more clarification. More than that, you can't do much. So this is the role when in consecutive interpretation, you need, it's essential to have the note taking.
And it depends on self-confidence sometimes.
Yes. It's mostly confident, because most of the
Yes,
times they ask you to give back the note taking,
yes.
to destroy
And
them.
if it's get longer, a translator would translate only the main ideas without going into complex case scenarios, because this is what the normal memory depends on.
It
So he
depends
or
on the
she,
cases.
yeah,
It
yeah,
depends on the
it
case,
depends on
because it's
exactly, yes.
each case is exclusive. Each case is exclusive. So sometimes it's needed. Sometimes you may ask to shorten the time in order to deliver the accurate translation.
And I think, you know, cats, like the translation tools is not proficient than a human translator in this length of interpreting meeting. Or
I didn't get the point. Can you repeat it, please, again?
sorry.
I didn't get your point. Can you
Ah,
please repeat it again?
yes, Ms. Rani. So the computerized, they called it assisting translation tools, CAT, CAT.
Yeah, they are not accurate for this case.
Yeah, yeah.
For these
So
cases,
this
it's not that accurate.
they will be sunk in a big sea in this scenario. Yeah.
Yes. Even though you activate the AI, it's not always working.
This is our strength point for human translators.
Yes. Especially between English and Arabic. So, symbols and abbreviations. Creating a personalized system of symbols and abbreviation can significantly enhance the speed and efficiency of note-taking. As I told you before, you can develop your own, something that you can understand that is beyond your own effort. So here are some tips of developing and using such system. For example, we do have the common symbols, such as the arrows, which may indicate direction, relationships, or movement. For example, the arrow to the right may mean leads to, results in, or if we put the arrow between two sides, it's like make connection or anything else that may be relevant to your understanding. Lines and shapes, using lines for main ideas, for lists. For example, we make this line to make a list, some certains for certain events, and squares for tasks or actions to categorize information. We may use some mathematical symbols, for example, plus, minus, equals, not equal, greater than, less than, to convey relationships and comparisons. So these, for examples, are common symbols that we may implement or use within our symbols created for note-taking. Another issues, we do have certain abbreviations that are mostly used, such as, for example, etc., e.g. for saying example, GOVT for government, and other standard abbreviations that are commonly accepted or used with frequency. Some personal abbreviation that develop your own shorthand for specific terms. This is what you may adapt for yourself. For example, marketing, MKTG, you may use another abbreviation which may refer to you, marketing, or any other thing you may refer to. Consistent use, regularly practice using these symbols and abbreviation in different contexts to become comfortable with them. And you may have a reference sheet for your symbols and abbreviation handy until these became a second nature. You may have them with you until you get adapted to their use. Any question till now? Okay. Here I may share with you some files which I'll send to you. These are some of the symbols used, and you can find in this YouTube link as well. For example, some of these symbols we have just shown within the video we took. For example, look towards to, want to, know, decide, the purpose, lead to or cause, promise. When we say okay, which is universally known, okay, it seems like we agree. Change, we do have the triangle to say change. For example, need, it's referred to ND. These are examples. You may use or you may adapt your own symbols. So these are some of the symbols used that you may consider. The quotation to refer to says, attack, thanks. For example, for me, I do use thanks is THS or TKS, depends on you or how you want to deliver them. For example, inflation, money, work, democracy, whatever symbol you may need. So this is one of the files I'll be sharing with you that will help you to adapt some symbols or to create your own. Here is another file of how to using keywords and how to manage the abbreviations. For example, some of the abbreviation used in note-taking, for example, AC, air conditioning, AC may refer to Antichrist, AM to morning, and so on. So this is how we can manage some of the abbreviations. For example, e.g., for example, it's universally known as this, etc. For example, etc., it's meant to everybody, etc., and so on. That is, so these three files I will be sharing with you. And here is another presentation on note-taking that you can refer to and read more about note-taking. So these are three files I'll be sharing with you. And I will suggest as well the book on note-taking, which you can find at Amazon. So regarding note-taking, and you will have some videos that will demonstrate for you how to take it. You can go diagonal note-taking method, which is going from side to side or vertically, writing note down the page for clarity. And we have the chunking, it's breaking down information into manageable parts. These are the three techniques of note-taking that you will find in the next videos, which are in the next slide. And practicing tips for note-taking, it's mostly listen actively and identifying key points. When I'm taking the note-taking, when I write down the note-taking I want to take from an interpretation from a speaker, I should deliver or write down or take the notes of the main ideas and how we'll manage to relate them to help and support back up my memory. So I hope this is helpful for you and you will get the sufficient information you need for note-taking. Somebody wanted to say anything, please? So, what we may have as challenges and solutions when it's about note-taking. The common challenges are dealing with some unknown terms. We should use certain context and general knowledge. As previously Mr. Ahmed said, sometimes if we don't manage these terms, we have to transmit the main idea. Managing fast speakers, as well as the previous, we have to give prioritizing, we have to give the preference to the key information, the things that will deliver the main idea or the most important aspect of the conversation. And handling difficult accents, practicing regularly while hearing different dialects, different audios for different kind of speakers. For example, most of you knows that the Indian people, the Chinese people have a certain dialect when speaking English. So this somehow it's challenging. So maybe practicing to hear some kind of videos where speakers with different kind of dialects will help us to improve our hearing skills and our skills for interpretation, as well as the people from North Africa as well. So these are some of the challenges I faced personally when hearing these accents of different type of English. So here are different note-taking resources that you may refer to, and I wrote down the minutes of each video so as to help you with which you can go first. So let's move on. Here are also resources for further practicing on interpreting. These are some of the books And this is the note-taking manual I talked about, which you can find in Amazon. This is the book. And you can find so you can find out in the same page of Interpret Train, the page where we saw the first book, the first video about, you have many training videos, and they may give you access to part of this book where you can train. So if you go to the Interpret Train, the page of Interpret Train, let me check out, please. If you go to their website, which is here, they will give you access to part of this book where you can make the practice with their guidance. So you have also these websites where you can train yourself on note-taking. So let's check out idioms. What do we understand by idioms? Anybody? Okay. Seems that I have to speak alone. Well, idioms are certain expressions that have a figurative meaning, but have, yes, please.
Would you like to read?
If you'd like to, go ahead, please, Ms. Hanan.
Okay, good evening, all.
Good evening.
What do we understand by idioms? They are phrases or expressions that have a figurative meaning different from the literal meaning of the individual words. They are often culturally specific and can be difficult for non-native speakers to understand because their meaning can't be deducted by interpreting the individual words. Idioms are used to convey complex ideas. What's this?
Successfully.
Successfully and vividly, often proving insight into culture norms and values.
Okay. So
That's
the expression are certain wordings that mostly used as a cultural expressions where we have a certain phrase or a certain expression that doesn't exactly mean the literal translation of the same word. So sometimes if we are not aware of these idioms or these meanings, we can deliver a different message than what is needed to be delivered. For example, I wonder if you have seen a video about the Palestinian president when he used some colloquial wordings and the translators have difficulty to transmit the expression. So we are going to review some of these expressions and figure out how what we mean about these idioms and how to manage. What is the characteristics of an idiom? It doesn't have its literal meaning. So it's an expression. if we are going to translate it or interpret its meaning literally, it will give us a different meaning to the one we meant to express. So the meaning of an idiom can't be understood from the meaning of its individual words. Second, it has a cultural specificity. So the idiom often reflects a cultural, historical, or social context unique to a particular language or region. Third, it's typically have a fixed structure and wording. So altering the structure can change or obscure the meaning, and are frequently used in everyday language and are essential part of fluent communication. So here we have some examples of idioms in English, because in Arabic they are limited and can deliver mostly the idea we want to get, but we have as well some of the examples. For example, when we say break the ice, do I mean exactly break the ice? Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, Doctor.
Yeah, okay. So break the ice, we are not meaning to break, to get an ice and try to break it with a hammer or anything else. What we mean by break the ice, the literal meaning is to break a frozen water. Nevertheless, it's mostly used as an idiomatic meaning to initiate a conversation in a social setting to relieve the tension or awkwardness of a special situation. For example, there is a great tension between two persons, so somebody come here and break the ice by making a joke or trying to distract somebody else, so to calm down the situation. So this is
Yes,
what
okay.
this is what we mean with these idioms, to break the ice. Or have you ever heard break a leg?
Yes, so break the ice have two meanings, literal meanings and idiomatic meanings.
Yes, but it's mostly used as an idioms. It's mostly used as to break the ice, is just to say, as we say in Arabic, كسر الثلج.
Yes,
But it's not like that. It's just to say that we get the tension down. So break the ice is used to say break down, calm down the situation or the tension.
yes,
When
I get.
we say break a leg, for example, sometimes between my colleagues, whenever we are going to start a new interpretation session, we say to each other, let's break a leg. Do we mean to break a leg? To break our legs?
I didn't know, actually.
Okay, break a leg, it's like saying, go with all your force, let's do it, let's make it the best, let's do something great. So break a leg here was meaning let's do the best that we can. So this is another idiom, was break the leg. Break a leg is do your best.
Yes, in Arabic we said يعني اكسر اجرك واقعد، يعني اكسر اجرك وانجز المهمة هيك like this.
بالضبط. You're Jordanian, Miss Hanan, yes?
Yes, I am Jordanian.
Yeah, okay, so we are the same culture somehow. I'm Palestinian as well, Palestinian Jordanian.
Yes, you are welcome.
Thank you. So,
Okay.
kick the bucket. Kick the bucket is as well, the literal meaning is to kick a bucket with your leg. But what the idiomatic meaning is that somebody has died. So, he kicked the bucket, it means that he passed away. He died.
Yeah. To die, yes.
So again, a piece of cake, it's not always referring to a slice of cake. In this case, it's referred to something very easy to do. It's just a
Yes.
piece of cake, so it's just easy. It's nothing. In
Yes, good.
Spanish also they say it's a papaya. So that's to say it's so easy to do. So spill the beans. Can we spill beans from a container in this case, but mostly in some idiomatic context, it's to reveal a secret or confidential information. Spill the beans.
Yes.
There is a huge information about idiomatic and expressions in different contexts, in different languages, and it's important to deal with these idiomatic so we can't transmit another idea or another expression which is different than the one needed. So, what's the importance of understanding idioms? It enhances communication. By knowing idioms help in understanding and engaging in natural, fluent conversation, the same as our interpretation. To be aware of certain idioms using in certain cultures that we are working with within the source language and the target language will enable us to deliver the correct and make sure to deliver a fluent conversation and a fluent interpretation of the ideas that are within these words. Also, we have cultural insights. Idioms provide insight into the cultural and historical context of a language, as well as language proficiency. Mastery of idioms is a sign of advanced language proficiency and can enhance expressive capabilities. We have here some also, for example, break the ice. We have it as كسر الجمود. Hit the nail on the head. We have another meaning in Arabic, which is أصاب كبد الحقيقة, which means to describe exactly what is causing a situation or a problem. Bite off more than you can chew. حمل ما لا يطيق. But if we want to translate exactly what the wordings are in English, we have another expressions which are not the same, because bite off more than you can chew, it's in English to say that you'll eat more than you can chew, literally. So a blessing in disguise is نعمة في طي نقمة. When pigs fly is common, like we are saying in Arabic, في المشمش. Here we have more English idiomatics that the ball is in your court, burning the midnight oil, a penny for your thoughts, curiosity kills the cat, let the cat out the bag. And these are the meaning that are meant to their use. So, before going to this part, and I don't have much people, I think we are only have 2 participants. So I wonder if we are going to continue with this. I will share it with you. If you'd like, we'll make some of these texts.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. These are some texts we are going to practice on interpretation, visual interpretation. And I wonder if anybody would like to, you can choose whatever text you'd like from these, because these are 2 pages, and what we are seeking is to train ourselves to read and make the interpretation at the same time. So this is what we have previously been doing within the last sessions, and I leave it for the end so we can practice some of them, or you may have the presentation later and you can get practice by yourself while recording your interpretation. So I only have 3 persons, Hanan, Abir, and Al-Ilm. I wonder
I'm with you.
Okay, so Mr. Hanan, Miss Hanan, can you please choose one of them?
Okay, the first one between Arabic and other language. Second one,
Oh.
cultural expression, legal translation, different culture around the words. Let's take the first one, if you
Okay,
want.
if you'd like, I can go down, scroll down, so you wonder. It's
Okay,
about social
the first
ethics,
one,
empowerment,
social empowerment.
empowerment.
Yes, we can take empowerment.
Okay, so let's give it a
Here.
try. By the
Sorry?
way, Miss Hanan, I guess this is your first time with me. When we
Yes.
practice these with visual interpretation, it's like a kind to start practicing how to make the interpretation. Well, mostly the interpretation is by listening, but sometimes you have a screen in which you have certain text and you have to make the interpretation. So what you're going to say to do is not reading and then making the interpretation. You should automatically make the interpretation of what are you reading. This is meant to make your head practicing on how to deliver the information of what you see or hear and do the interpretation at the same moment. So I hope you get the idea of how we're working with this.
Let's try. Actually, this is the first time for me.
Okay, so
I will read, and the same time I will translate what I read. Yes, it's okay.
Okay,
Like
okay.
this?
Okay, it's okay.
Okay. So we choose the number 6, yes?
Empowerment, yes.
Yes, empowerment is the process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and transform these. Sorry, I read from my phone, okay? And
Would you like me to read to help you?
Yes, please. الشاشة عندي كثير صغير وبكبر وبصغر.
Okay, empowerment is the process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes. We'll stop here, okay? Again, I will read it till the full stop. Empowerment is the process of increasing the capacity of individuals or groups to make choices and transform those choices into desired actions and outcomes.
Okay, empowerment, which is التمكين، هي عبارة عن عملية to increase لزيادة قدرة الأفراد أو المجموعات على اتخاذ الخيارات وتحويل هذه الخيارات إلى نتائج وأفعال مرغوبة.
Excellent. It involves providing the tools, resources, and opportunities necessary for people to gain control over their lives and assert their rights.
Again, please.
It involves providing
Yes, providing توفير الأدوات
resources and opportunities
والموارد والفرص
necessary for people to gain control over their lives
اللازمة للناس للسيطرة على حياتهم
and assert their rights.
assert والتأكيد على حقوقهم.
Empowerment can take many forms.
يعني التمكين له عدة plan عدة here we can say عدة خيارات أو عدة أشكال.
Exactly, أشكال. Great. Such as educational opportunities, economic support,
مثل
access
الفرص
to
التعليمية
healthcare.
والدعم الاقتصادي.
Access to healthcare.
access والوصول إلى الرعاية الصحية.
الصحية.
Yes.
By empowering individuals, particularly those from marginalized communities, we can foster a more inclusive and equitable society where everyone has the chance to succeed and thrive.
Yes. يعني من خلال تمكين هؤلاء الأفراد خصوصا المجتمعات اللي بتنتمي أو الأفراد اللي بينتموا لهاي المجتمعات المهمشة، يمكن تعزيز هاي المجتمع وإنصافها من خلال إتاحتها للجميع أو إتاحة الفرص للجميع سوري وإنصافها لتتاح للجميع فرصة النجاح والازدهار.
Okay, good. You mostly tried, instead of visual, you made the consecutive interpretation. So what we did now with Miss Hanan is that while I was reading, when I stopped, she started the interpretation. So this what we call consecutive interpretation. The simultaneous interpretation,
what we called about it?
consecutive interpretation.
Consecutive. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Miss Hanan, as you are, this is your first time. The difference between consecutive and simultaneous is that we have three kinds of interpretation. In Arabic, we have tarjama, shafawiyya, tarjama tahririya. These are the difference between the two kinds of interpretation and translation. In English, the mean wording for the basic wording for al-tarjama shafawiyya, the token the interpretation is interpretation. What do we mean with interpretation? To transmit the information, the given information, and to deliver it on the meaning which the speaker wants to deliver it. So
at the same time صح؟ يعني في نفس الجلسة.
Well, consecutive, it's what we did right now. When I stopped, you started to make the interpretation. The simultaneous, the difference with the simultaneous interpretation is that I must do it at the same time with the same tone, delivering the same, inclusively the same accent or the same voice tone that the speaker would like to deliver it.
Yes, as headline news.
Exactly.
Yes, okay.
So this is the main idea which we were practicing previously, and we tried to start our practice session, is the visual interpretation. And it was like when I'm reading, at the same time I'm making the interpretation.
Yes, okay.
So I'm not reading, I'm just delivering the interpretation of what I'm reading. For example, let's check the one below, because sometimes when you are in a certain meeting, for example, a webinar or something like that, they may expose something on the screen. So you should read, or maybe you should you have it on your screen. And the only thing you have to do is to make the interpretation of what you are reading. You can't read and stop and then make the interpretation. You just have to read silently with your eyes and just make the interpretation. So this is why it's important to to separate your senses when you are going to work as an interpreter. So it's mostly important how to improve your skills on interpretation, how to challenge yourself in each one of these interpretation sessions. So since we are having just 2 participants, I will leave you for now. If anybody have any questions, please let me know. And I will share with you this presentation so you can go ahead with all the documents, all the information you have here as
Yes,
well.
please. Where I can have a document?
Well, I will share this presentation as well as all the files in the same group of Polyglot. So you will have this presentation, and if you'd like, you can get back to me and I will provide you with with all the previous session presentations, if you can't get them.
Yes.
I will send you as well the 3 files that are shared here because since they are within my computer, so I don't think you can have access to them. So I will send you these 3 files so you can check them about note taking, as well as here, which ones? Yes, here these are several YouTube links that you can access from any computer with the length of each video.
Okay.
And these are some sites where you can manage for some training for interpretation. And this slide, the last one will have all the sessions, all the previous sessions we've had here for interpretation practicing, as well as this one, this final file that I will also share with you, which we were seeing previously. Sorry, I guess you didn't check out all the files. Anyway, I will send you this file so you can practice as well to make the interpretation. You may record yourself making the interpretation so you can find out where and when and what's the difficulties you may be facing while trying to make an interpretation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you a lot for your participation, and hopefully you get the needed information from this session. So thank you very much.
Thank you for you.
And see you next Saturday, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Hanan. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Al-Alm Noor, I wonder who is it?
Yes.
Well.
Okay, see you in next Saturday, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, Ms. Hanan.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye.